I'm James Lynch, and this is my stock report for UFC Baku, taking a look at the biggest winners and losers from the event. And biggest winner on this card is the man in the main event, Rafael Fiziev. Huge win over Manel Torres. He gets the second round in 15 seconds. Second round spinning back kick and punches finish over Manel Torres. This is a big win here for Fiziev for the simple fact that his back was against the wall a little bit, right? Losing, I think, 3 of his last 4 going into this fight. This fight was dead even. He's fighting a guy who's a couple years younger. He's got some serious knockout power, and Fiziev went out there and passed the test. And this is coming from a guy in Fiziev, like I said, who's coming off a pretty tough knockout loss to Rufi in his last fight. I kind of figured that Fiziev was kind of on the decline after that fight, seeing how much damage he took in that one, and he's fighting a pretty dangerous guy here in Torres, and Fiziev just looked awesome in this fight. Of course, he weathered the early storm here from Torres. If you look at the overall stats, Torres did outland him in that first round. You can see here 21 compared to 15 in significant strikes, but that second round was all Fiziev, and he comes out and he gets a highlight reel finish in Azerbaijan, which is where he's from. So this is a big win here for Fiziev because, again, he's 33, but you think of all the time he's missed, the injuries he's had, everything else. He's still a threat in this weight class, and I think he showed that in this main event, and I'm sure he's watching Justin Gaethje winning the title, a guy that he's lost to twice, and thinking, you know what, I got plenty left in the tank at 155. So huge win there for Fiziev. He's back in the mix as far as a contender, as far as I'm concerned. Big win here, and he gets it done in highlight reel fashion. We haven't seen a finish like this from Fiziev in a while, right? Like, how far do we got to go back? The Dos Anjos fight was his last finish, and that was back in 2022. So really good to see him get in the win column here. Huge win there for Fiziev in the main event. Second biggest stock riser on this card. There were a lot of good finishes here. I'm actually going to go down to Asu Amabayu. Big win over Charles Johnson. He was a big favorite in this fight, but one of the things I look at here is that Johnson can finish. He's got knockout power. We've seen him take out the current champ, Joshua Van. He's also got a couple other sneaky wins on his resume. Loner Kavanagh, I think, is another one that he's beat as well. So that's what I mean. Like, yes, he was favored going in, but Charles Johnson's still very much a threat. And it's the fact that Asu finishes this fight, getting the very rare Suliev stretch in this one in the third round, just like what he did here. And again, at flyweight, it's kind of wide open right now. Obviously at the top, we got, Van and Pantoja are going to likely fight next, but I think Asu, a couple more wins here, he's going to be in that mix. Again, you look at the win streak he's been on, 3 straight wins since getting knocked out by Manel Kopp, which doesn't look like that bad of a knockout loss considering what Kopp has done recently, getting the knockout win last weekend. So really impressive win here for Asu. He's got back-to-back finishes in fights. He's making a lot of noise at flyweight. Really like that win here, and definitely came through as a minus 310 favorite. Okay, third biggest stock riser on this card. So there's a couple different ways I could have gone in this one. I could have gone with context, obviously, like where they belong in the division and how big the win was. But this one's just pure style, and I think when we're looking back on this card, we're going to look back on the 8-second knockout here by Yakovlev. Abdul Yakovlev in this fight, getting it done in just 8 seconds. I'll show you the clip here. I don't think I'll get booted off, but you can see it here on the screen. And he goes stiff right here, Walker. I know some people thought maybe early stoppage. I don't think it was. He's out, and doesn't even know what happened. And that was just a big win for him there. Again, another situation where he had a big favorite, but when you look back on this card, what are you going to remember? You're going to remember the minus 650, looking like a minus 650, getting an 8-second finish there, close to, Masvidal and Ben Askren here. So really nice finish there. Does it in pretty dramatic fashion. So got to give the Hunter his props here. He remains undefeated, getting an 8-second finish on this one. Okay, a couple of honorable mentions. This was pretty easy on this one. There's a lot of good finishes on this card. First one I wanted to look at, Abus Magomedov. You got to like the fact he goes out there and gets a first-round finish over Olashaychuk, who's very dangerous. Abus calling out Israel Adesanya after the fight. He comes through as a slight underdog here at 35. I wouldn't mind a fight with him and Adesanya at this point, just because I think that would be really interesting to see how their styles would go toe-to-toe. Olashaychuk's win streak comes to an end. He was on a nice run going into this one, 3 straight wins. That gets halted, and Magomedov, of course, coming through, getting it done, and looking impressive. So he's got to get an honorable mention. The other honorable mention we got to talk about is Matthias Camillo, coming through as an underdog and not getting a ton of notice for this fight either. He comes through as a plus 145 underdog, taking out Nazim Sadikov in the very first round, so got to give him his props. And then how about Offley on the prelims as well? Taking out Javier Reyes, dealing with that big reach advantage there for Reyes. If you look at it there, he's got a 73-inch reach. He's only got 66. Comes through as a plus 185 underdog. He needed this win. He's on quite the roll right now, right? Because he had a bit of a slow start there, losing back-to-back fights in his UFC tenure. And now he's got 3 straight wins. 2 of those are finishes. So big win there for Offley. He gets an honorable mention as well. Okay, let's look at the stock droppers. There's a couple different ways you could look at this one. My biggest stock dropper on this card, it's got to be Manel Torres, only because I think he had a good opportunity here to build off the Grant Dawson win. He had back-to-back finishes over some pretty good opposition in Dober and Dawson. He was finished by Bahamodes. Also had a win over Chris Duncan. Yeah, I just think that, good first round, but, got caught in the second round. I think, a win for Torres would have definitely propelled him up. He would have been sort of a new contender at lightweight with a win here, especially a finish over Fiziev. He doesn't get that done. I kind of look at this fight as this was a very big missed opportunity here for Torres. Now he'll be back to the drawing board. He's not super old. He's 31 years old. I'm sure he can make some adjustments, but the reality now is he's lost to Bahamodes and Fiziev. He's got some work to do here if he wants to be any sort of a threat in the weight class here. So yeah, to me, Torres was the biggest stock dropper just because, had he won, he would have been much further ahead here. So going to go with Torres as my biggest stock dropper. Second biggest stock dropper for me has got to be Nazim Sadikov. Again, he was favored in this spot. And, at one point it looked like a guy that could make some noise at 155. He was a minus 175 favorite here. But now you look at him, he's coming off back-to-back losses, Ziem and Camillo. Both stoppage losses here, so that's a bit concerning here after the wins over Bonfim and Mata. Those are kind of in the rearview mirror. Still has that win over Terrence McKinney, but I do wonder, going where he goes from here after these setbacks here. So, again, good opportunity here for Sadikov to kind of prove people wrong, but he doesn't come through. It's Camillo who gets the win. So Sadikov, definitely a stock dropper here. And 32 years old, just turned 32 back in May. You hope he can turn things around here and get it done. Third biggest stock dropper on this card was another betting favorite that lost. If you bet some underdogs, you're probably looking pretty good here. That's Javier Reyes, who we mentioned earlier. Awfully, I mentioned getting it done. It's the fact that Reyes was finished as almost a 3-1 favorite here. Had that great debut against Douglas Silva de Andrade. He gets the first round finish there. And then he has this fight, kind of all that goodwill that he had on Contender Series. And now in his UFC debut has kind of gone out the window here with the Awfully loss. This was a fight he should have won. Ends up coming up short at 32. Not exactly super young either. We'll see if he can bounce back, but that was a tough loss there for Javier Reyes. And then I'm going to do kind of a joint stock drop, and you guys may disagree with me on this one, but I did not like the Shara Bullet and Michelle Pereira fight. Pereira ends up, Magomedov, wins the fight as a minus 400 favorite, but he didn't look like it. Pereira, I think, had this fight in the bag. I think, when he dropped Shara Bullet in this one, I think he had a good chance to go and win this fight. The IQ gets him again. Again, I've talked about this before. Michelle Pereira's fight IQ is not great here, but ultimately, I don't think this fight did anything for either guy. Obviously, for Pereira, his stock drops because of the fact now he's lost a couple fights here. I'm trying to even remember his last few ones. Did get the win over Zach Reese, but he's now lost 4 of his last 5. I'm sure he'll get another fight because he's entertaining, but not a good look there for Pereira. And for Shara Bullet, is this the type of win that makes you think he's going to make some sort of run right now? Had the Marc-Andre Barrios win almost a year ago. I don't know what the layoff was. He had a couple grappling fights. He beats Michelle Pereira, but not exactly in impressive fashion. It's just sort of the same thing here with Shara Bullet, where he's getting these wins, but he's not looking super impressive, other than maybe the Armin Petrosian fight. But overall, hasn't really impressed me. Don't see him making any sort of damage at 185. So I don't know what you do with him at this point. They obviously like him. The UFC does. They keep putting him on these sort of international cards, but I don't think this win did him any favors here, and I don't really know what's next for him. So Shara Bullet, I'm actually going to say a stock drop a bit, just because you're a minus 4 whatever favorite here, minus 400. Didn't look like it in this fight, and I think we're getting to the point now where I think we're giving Shara Bullet a little bit too much respect with the way he's been performing in certain fights. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, who you're picking as far as your 3 biggest stock risers, 3 biggest stock droppers. Apologies for the voice. Hockey season's done, so I'm done coaching for the year, so my voice will slowly be improving and get back to normal here. But again, really good card here from Baku. Let me know in the comments, like I said, your stock droppers and stock risers. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, at Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'll see you guys soon, and thanks so much for watching.